All right, for more on this, let's bring in Akiva Eldar, who joins us now from Tel Aviv. He is a political analyst and a contributor to the Haaretz newspaper. Mr. Eldar, it is always a pleasure talking to you. Before we get into the specifics of the Iran-backed groups in the region, I want to take a look, or actually make a comparison. When you look at the conflict between what's going on with Israel and Hamas, the nature of that conflict is very different with what's going on with the Iran-backed groups across the region. It seems to me that the latter one that I just mentioned is much more calculated, it's much more precise, it's almost a tit-and-tat game.
Yeah, it's we're actually at the middle of the game, and it's not over until the fat lady thinks. And right now, it seems that Israel has joined the acts of evil, where Netanyahu made a lot of effort. Actually, this was his middle name. Iran is part of the leader of the acts of evil, and right now, the footage that you're just showing is putting Israel with Iran on the same side of the bad guys in the Middle East, whether we like it or not. But Israel is still facing charges in the International Court of Justice, and it's not over yet, as well as the war with Hamas and Hezbollah. Iran is sitting on the fence and enjoying maybe what they see, this game between Israel and the Iran proxies. Iran doesn't actually admit any connection to what's going on. But as I said, the game is not over. If Israel, and hopefully it will happen, if not now, after our next elections, that will be sooner than, I believe, 26 as its original date. Mm-hmm. Once Israel will accept the American proposal, the regional peace initiative that was presented to it already in 2002. And right now, it seems that what happened in October 7th is forcing the Arab-Israeli conflict, actually the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, on President Biden's agenda. And once Israel will decide that the exit strategy from this war in several fronts, it's Hamas, it's Hezbollah, and the Houthis. And actually, the Houthis, what they're doing in the Red Sea is forcing the crisis or the agenda of dealing with the crisis on the entire international community. And once Israel will be willing to contribute what it is demanded from it for so many years, which is the two-state solution, once Netanyahu or the next prime minister will spell it out, it may change the whole picture. The Saudis, who got closer to Iran and are waiting for a green light from the United States, may do the U-turn back to Washington and to Israel.
I'll get to the U.S. perspective as well as Saudi Arabia in just a bit, but I want to get your analysis in terms of the nature of Iran's foreign policy. For me, when you look at sort of like the last 5 decades since the '79 Islamic Revolution, there has been multiple objectives of Iran's policy in the region. One of the most important ones being to reduce, in fact, perhaps eliminate completely the U.S.'s influence in the region. We're seeing this with the Houthis, we're seeing this with Hezbollah, with Hamas, and various other paramilitary groups in Syria and Iraq. We went over them. I'm wondering, since you mentioned Iran and the proxies and sort of the control over it, how much control does Iran really have over these groups?
Actually, Iran is sitting back, and what they need to do is to avoid making mistakes. You see, we didn't mention China. The Chinese facilitated the peace or the honeymoon between Iran and Saudi Arabia, their worst enemy. before that, we were talking about a new alliance it started with the Abraham Accords between Israel and the Gulf countries to contain Iran. Now, what we see is that the Iranians are betting on the Israeli refusal to pay the price, as I said before, for comprehensive peace. And at the same time, they also took advantage of Netanyahu's biggest blunder, which is to convince former president, hopefully not the next president, if I may, Trump, to move the United States out of the Iranian G5 agreement on containing their nuclear program. Now we are in a different place. Iran is just a mile away from having the nuclear bomb. And I'm sure that the price for a new deal is going to be much higher. But Iran, we have to remember, Iran is not an Arab state and it's not Sunni. And Israel can do a lot in order to push Iran more to the corner and make them also give up their support in the terrorist groups. And perhaps what happens in the Red Sea is a bit too much for the international community. Maybe they cross the red line. And if the United States will push a little harder, and Israel will have to pay the price, as we see with the sanctions against the wild settlers, if the United States will twist some arms in Jerusalem, perhaps because between Iran and Israel right now, it's a zero-sum game.
Okay.
There is no way, unlike between Israel and Hezbollah, and Israel and Hamas, they have different interests. And Israel can reach out to Lebanon and even to the Palestinian, led by the Palestinian Authority, and to get the support from other Muslim countries, including Turkey, to facilitate the isolation process that will isolate Iran.
Mr. Eldar, I don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you, you said that Israel is going to have to pay a price. I'm wondering what the price the United States is going to have to end up paying. When you look at some of the comments that have come out from top U.S. officials, the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, alongside the Defense Minister, Lloyd Austin, they said that this is just the beginning. When you look at those strikes, the 80-plus strikes that they did across Iraq and Syria. On the one side, it's trying to prevent further loss of life from the Americans, but on the other side, it's really desperately trying for this not to spill into a really full-out regional war. What is your outlook?
Well, again, everybody is walking on ice here and trying to avoid regional, if not even a global war, because we didn't mention Russia. We mentioned China. Russia is also trying to flex its arms in the Middle East. And there is a kind of a Cold War in the Middle East, and one mistake, too many casualties, and it may turn into a regional or global war. So I believe that right now, once the United States will force a ceasefire between Israel and the Hamas in Gaza, it will offer also the Houthis and Iran a way down the ladder, the very high ladder that they have climbed, and it became a matter of prestige between a materialistic prestige. Who is stronger? Who is a greater Popeye? Iran, Israel, United States, or China?
Okay. Mr. Akiva Eldar, always a pleasure hearing your analysis. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on the NewsHour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.